aka Lil Charlie. Before we walk the plank, we going up in there in style, man. Let's go, man. Head high, man. Let's do what we do.
Charlie Wingate, aka Max B, born May 21st, 1978. All waves crash at some point, but a spectacular ride to shore with everyone paying attention and trying to hop on is really all a rapper could ask for. Max B created that spectacular wave years ago you see so many artists try to ride even to this day, even though the Silver Surfer, as he's called, has been locked away for 16 years. Sentenced to 75 years back in 2009, the wave is about to be released and rise again for what could be his biggest ride ever. We know Jim Jones isn't too excited, we know Mano isn't too excited, but the rest of the world, we know it's about time to get wet.
Cut! Come on, dog.
Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Max B is a rapper from Harlem, New York, known for his wavy delivery and melodic street presence that would later influence an entire era of hip-hop. Before music, Max spent time in and out of the system, dealing with loss, instability, and the kind of environment where survival came before creativity. His break into the industry came through Jim Jones, who brought him into the Bird Gang circle during the height of the Dipset movement. Max brought a style that was his own. The melodies, the talking through singing cadence, the looseness, that along with his likable charisma stood out immediately. But while his sound started gaining traction, the business behind it never seemed to favor him. Max believed that he wasn't being credited properly, wasn't being compensated fairly, and was being kept in a supporting role while others benefited from the wave he introduced. The tension between he and Jim Jones eventually became public, messy, and personal. And just as Max was moving toward his own spotlight, everything changed. Stunt number 1, The Streets Don't Let You Leave. Max B didn't enter the music industry from a stable foundation. He came out of the foster system, moving through group homes and temporary placements without real structure, guidance, or long-term support. By the time he reached adulthood, he had already experienced enough instability to understand that life doesn't give you time to figure things out. Survival becomes instinct first, everything else comes second. When he connected with Jim Jones and Bird Gang, it was the first time he had something that looked like direction. The studio gave him identity, music gave him purpose, and his voice gave him value. He wasn't just another artist, he had a sound nobody else had, and people noticed. But while the music gave him a new lane, his life off the mic never changed. The same neighborhoods, the same pressures, the same expectations stayed attached to him. And when someone from that background starts to rise, the people around them expect to rise along with. Some want opportunities, some want money, some want access, some want credit, and some just don't want to be left behind. That creates tension. Not because you've changed, but because the circumstances around you haven't caught up yet. In 2006, Max's name became tied to a robbery setup in Fort Lee, New Jersey, involving his girlfriend at the time, Gina Conway, and his stepbrother, Kelvin Leardom. Max wasn't physically present at the scene, but prosecutors claimed that he planned it, encouraged it, and benefited from it happening. During the robbery, David Taylor was shot and killed. Gina Conway was arrested and accepted a plea deal to testify that Max B orchestrated the plan. Leardom was convicted as the gunman. By 2009, Max was gaining real traction as a solo artist. He was separating from Bird Gang, asserting his identity, performing, recording, building momentum, and forming what we now call the wave. The music was working, but the streets weren't letting go. When the trial finished, Max was convicted and handed a 75-year sentence, a number designed to end everything he was building. Max didn't fall off because he lacked talent or work ethic. He fell because the world he was trying to leave still had a grip on him. The streets never congratulate change. They wait for proof you didn't escape. Stunt number 2, when the business turns personal. The partnership between Max and Jim Jones started as something that made sense. Jim had the connections, the Dipset momentum, the industry presence. Max had a sound that was new, loose, emotional, unpolished in the right ways, something the people felt instantly. When Max joined Bird Gang, the music got better, hooks hit harder, and the record stuck longer. The wave was forming, but inside the business, the situation wasn't equal. Max felt he was writing hooks, shaping songs, and giving life to music that was pushing Jim forward. He felt the sound people reacted to, the wavy bounce, the melodic slur, was him. But the money and the credit didn't reflect that. Jim felt differently. He saw himself as the one who opened the door, paid for studio time, brought Max into the spotlight, and took on the risk that comes with introducing new talent. Both sides believed they were responsible for the success. This is where respect starts to bend, when the foundation of the partnership isn't clearly defined. The moment the music starts working, the question becomes who is owed what. And once that question goes unanswered long enough, the relationship shifts from business to resentment. The situation didn't stay behind closed doors, it turned public. Max spoke on it in interviews, on tapes, in the streets, and in the music. Jim responded the same way. It turned from disagreement to embarrassment. Once ego enters, there's no negotiation. Once someone feels played, it's over. And that's when the industry pressure showed itself. In the late 2000s, hip-hop access ran through relationships. Radio programmers, DJ coalitions, promoters, publications, A&Rs, it was a network. Max and French Montana both claim that once Max and Jim split, some of those networks closed their doors. They believe Jim used his relationships to isolate them, or at least to avoid supporting them. Whether every detail of that was intentional or exaggerated, the result is clear. Max had momentum, but not the machine. He was growing, but not being pushed. Influencing but not being positioned, heard everywhere but not placed anywhere that leads to real industry elevation. The sound was spreading, the wave was forming, but the infrastructure around him was thinning, which meant that when the case came back into the picture, Max had to fight it without a team, without label leverage, and without the protection most rising artists have. When business turned personal, Max lost the support he needed the most. Stunt number 3, the wave grew without him. When Max B went away, his career didn't stop. His physical presence did. The music didn't, the sound didn't, and the influence didn't. What's rare about Max's story is that his style didn't disappear when he wasn't there to push it. It actually expanded. The wave kept spreading because it was real, not attached to marketing. His voice, flow patterns, humor, charisma, emotional looseness, those things became part of the foundation for what the next era of rap sounded like. French Montana kept Max alive through tapes, ad-libs, shoutouts, and archive vocals. Songs were stitched together from old sessions, and instead of sounding dated, they sounded ahead. Artists who were just coming up at the time, Wiz Khalifa, Currency, Stack Bundles, before his passing, were already locked into the free-flowing style that Max B became known for. It was less about the bars and more about feeling. Max was doing melodic street rap before the industry even knew what to call it. By the time Future, Young Thug, A-Boogie, Chief Keef, Dirk, and even the newer wave of melodic artists came in, the sound was normalized. Singing the pain wasn't weird anymore. Laughing through trauma was no longer confusing, and blending melody with disrespect and humor became the standard. Max did that first on a mainstream level, without a label machine and without a marketing rollout. The culture adopted the wave naturally, and the craziest part, the myth grew because he wasn't outside. Max became one of the last rappers to build legend status from absence. No Instagram, no interviews, no features, just reputation, tapes, and memory. Basically, the biggest hip-hop myth. That rarely happens anymore. Artists today disappear for 2 months and fans move on. Max disappeared for over a decade and the anticipation only got stronger. The sentence eventually got reduced, appeals moved forward, word got out, and every year the rumors of his release got louder. French kept saying he's coming home, and the streets believed it. Not because of hype, because the culture never stopped feeling him. So now, with his alleged return approaching, the energy is different. The sound he created runs the game now. The artists who once borrowed from him are now the mainstream standard. The wave didn't just survive without him, it's patiently waiting for his return. All in all, Max B's story isn't one of wasted talent. It's a story of timing, environment, and how hard it is to escape the world that shaped you. He had the sound before the industry was ready to understand it. He had the wave before the machine cared about it, and just as he began to build his own path, the past closed in and took away the future he was trying to build. Yet the wave never died. It grew, it spread, and it influenced a generation of artists who never met him, never stood next to him, but carry pieces of his approach in their music today. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when what you create is real, is natural. Now with his release finally approaching, the culture isn't curious, it's waiting. Because this time, the world sounds like Max B. The industry speaks his language, and the wave is already here. And the man who started it may finally get to ride it again. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC StuntedGrowthMusic, and I'm out.